Greetings, exalted ones.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Darkmore516 and in today's video we are doing a Boba Fett HVV guide. This has been a very highly requested video on the channel by a lot of my loyal subscribers, so I definitely thought I'd make it a priority to get this video out for you guys, especially since I've heard that a lot of people I know struggle to play well as him in HVV. I'll just do a quick disclaimer too, this is solely a Heroes vs Villains guide. However, some points I will touch on can be used in Galactic Assault as well, so don't take it as a grain of salt where these can only work in Heroes vs Villains. They can work in Galactic Assault as well, some of these points. You'll know when I start discussing some of the points. So this video is basically going to consist of me going through specific points and how I feel you guys can improve your Boba gameplay, and as well as providing some actual footage applying those specific tips. So you won't be hearing me talk the entire time, so you actually get some visual aid in how these tips can be applied. Thankfully I didn't have to record any extra footage because I already had some because I play Boba a lot, so that's nice and easy. So without further ado guys, I'm going to get stuck into the guide. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay guys, due to my limited capabilities in providing footage while I talk, I kind of have to just randomly run around this Bespin map while I discuss my points. As I said, I will be providing actual some of my game footage in between each tip, so you won't be seeing me the entire time. No. And the sad thing is I've only got one guy here on the other team. Go away, you're putting me off. Okay, so the first tip I want to go through for you guys, it's a very simple one, and that is don't spend the entire match just flying around as Boba Fett, like flying away from everyone. Especially in HVV, I notice is like, especially when you're the target, all they do is just spend the time just flying away. Don't even bother turning around to see who's chasing you. And that is just absolutely pathetic, because one, you're hard to catch, and two, you're basically a useless teammate because you're not really doing any damage for your team or helping them out. So that's basically tip number one. It's very, very simple, but it's the most annoying thing I see Boba's players do. And for players like me who actually love playing Boba, it's really upsetting to see people just fly away all the time. In relating to that though, there is a difference between an actual tactical retreat or like a appropriate retreat as opposed to running the whole time. As you're about to see in my first little bit of footage, you can be low on health and you still fly away to cover. That's completely different to just flying away the whole game. So that is completely acceptable. So I'm going to quickly show off a case where that is actually appropriate. So just okay guys, tip number two for the Boba Fett Heroes vs Villains guide is one that I would say is very underrated considering Boba Fett has a jetpack, but that is actually learning to be very accurate whilst stationary, like while on the ground with him. As you see there, even though I had the HUD off, I was still able to shoot this random rebel soldier who's just lurking around in my game. Yeah, so like, you can utilize use jump pack all the time, but if there's a chance where you've been knocked over by someone in Heroes vs Villains, or if you're actually struggling to manage your jetpack fuel, this is where it's going to be important to actually be able to aim on the ground, because otherwise you're basically an easy target because you have no way of defending yourself. It's a simple another simple tip again, but you really need to be able to aim on the ground. So I personally recommend, before getting used to like shooting and aiming well while flying, get used to aiming while on the ground first, because then once you get a steady reticule, which I will touch on later, you will be able to just easily shoot well while flying. So I'm going to show a quick little footage where I'm able to take down some enemy heroes really well whilst on the ground, so I'm going to watch that and I'll see you for the next tip. Okay guys, so that being said, being able to actually shoot well while flying is another important tip, as you just saw there with that rebel soldier. This is very important, especially since with Boba you're going to be flying around the map a lot, flying in different directions, so it's very important to actually adjust your aim whether you're flying this side to side, backwards, or directly forward at the target. So you need to be able to adjust that. You are going to have to have a really appropriate sensitivity for your playstyle, and I'll touch on that a little bit soon. But this is very important to be able to aim no matter which way you fly. You will get used to that once you get used to flying around with Boba. So as I said, learn to shoot while on the ground first, and then you can kind of just transfer your way into shooting while flying as well. So that's another tip. And again, here comes some footage, so I'm about to show that off as well.
Battle across the era, made of best side prevail.
Okay guys, that being said as well, another thing you really need to get used to as well is actually integrating the two together. So there will be times during a match in Heroes vs Villains where you are maybe pinned down in a corner shooting in a stationary position like this for example, and then you may actually have to get it, when you get a chance you might actually end up flying and shooting at them. Just pretend that's a rebel. So I've got another clip again showing that where you actually combine the two. So if you're doing this, trying to get a few headshots on and then flying out and trying to actually hit them after that, that's going to be really important. Because what you want to do with Boba Fett is be able to be accurate no matter what position you're in with Boba Fett. And it's really going to put the enemies off guard because they're not going to expect you to be very accurate. So again, I've got another clip showcasing that, so I'm going to play that on the screen now. Okay guys, so now that I've talked about the aiming, whether on the ground or flying, here's what I'm going to talk about the reticule. And this is where the sensitivity is going to come in, so I'm going to turn the HUD back on. You're going to have to just explore what sensitivity works for you, because then that way you'll be able to keep the reticule steady easier. I'm not really focusing on shooting them too much because, you know, I'm trying to talk. Yes, aiming with the reticule is really important, and that's basically like this weird triangle looking thing in the middle of the screen. So if your sensitivity is too high, it will move all over the place, so adjust that to your own preferences. And basically what you want to do, whether you're flying or aiming, you don't want to move it too much, you only move it slightly, because depending on your sensitivity, you shouldn't have to move it too much. So if you keep it steady and you're in a still spot, you can hit them pretty easily. Even though my shots are wayward there. So again, I've got some more footage showing that where you keep the reticule really still and you fly whatever direction you need to, and you can basically just get a nice easy hit. So what I'll do, I'll quickly kill this guy over here. So keep the reticule steady, like make sure you aimed at them, and it gets really easy. So I'm going to show footage of that again. It's easier when you actually see footage of me playing it, so I'm going to play that for you now.
Your master really would have taught you not to. Away! The force ends here.
Okay guys, I hope you guys don't mind too much the fact that I'm showing a lot of footage for my gameplay instead of me actually talking. So just let me know in the comments what you guys think of that. But now that I've mentioning the reticule, that's where the rocket barrage is going to come really important as well, because whether you're aiming with the barrage or your standard E3 blaster, you're going to have the reticule really steady. And one part of Boba Fett that's really important, needless to say, is his rocket barrage. And one thing you're really going to have to get used to is actually aiming it accordingly. Like whether the enemy moves or stands still, you're going to have to really get used to it. So it's like Iden's secondary fires with a TL50, is getting the trajectory right so you actually maximize the damage you can get with all of his barrage rockets. So being able to do damage on each one, so whether they're moving like this or you're moving forward, it relates to shooting while in the air as well with your normal gun. A lot of these points often correlate with each other, like they're basically interrelatable, sort of thing. Okay, so with that being said, I've got some more footage for you guys. Again, that's what mainly most of this guide is. It's basically mentioning the point and just giving some footage for you guys. So I'm going to show off some really good barrage tips, or clips I mean, where I'll do that.
You forced my hand. You could still get away. Not with the effort. There's no escape from me. Futile.
Okay, now that I've talked about managing his aim with his barrage and with the reticule and all that, obviously managing your jetpack and your fuel is another important aspect. In case any of you who don't know, if you're relatively new to the Battlefront 2 scene, the For the Hunt ability, which is the middle one here, he can actually have unlimited jetpack fuel for a time. So you see how it's yellow there? For the entire time the ability is active, it won't, like your jetpack fuel won't deplete, so you'll be able to fly longer. It helps if you wanted to get back into the battle very quickly, or if you're chasing someone like Luke who always runs off. But when it's not active, notice how my jetpack goes down. So being able to get good timing on using your For the Hunt ability, as well as knowing when to fly and when to briefly be stationary, is another important aspect. So again, I'm going to show another clip where I manage that, because there are a lot of times where I actually run out of fuel and the For the Hunt helps. Another thing too, you may also notice it can be used for a scan too, so that can double in your favor. And it didn't scan that guy for me then. But it does still scan and you'll be able to fly longer, so it's really important that you use those two together to get in a good position against your enemies and then get a good kill on them. So again, here comes some more footage for you guys. I've got to admit guys, this is the first commentary video I've done in quite a long time, so sorry if I'm a bit rusty or if I stutter every now and then. So another thing with Boba's jetpack is that he can actually dash like this. It's like the aerial class, how they can dash if you press circle for the PS4. So that's another important aspect to use, especially if you are low on your jetpack fuel. That's another little thing you can use, is your dash. So if I'm running out and someone's shooting me here, say if it's a broken Wookiee, you can dash to cover. And then whenever you feel ready to, you can quickly get back out of cover, getting shot, like so. It gets you in a good position, and the aim for Boba obviously is basically to avoid as much damage as you can while also doing heaps of damage. But then that's the case with pretty much every hero or villain. You want to avoid taking damage and then do damage. That's the difference between a lot of great players and a lot of average players, is that they can't balance the two. But with Boba Fett you really need to do that. So there are times, especially against lightsaber heroes, where the dash seems to be very useful, because you don't always want to fly back, because sometimes if they're right in front of you and you're trying to fly back, you might not be able to get a steady shot. So sometimes dashing once or twice, getting a shot and then flying back if you need to, really helps. So if I need to dash back once or twice, get a shot or fly back, whatever you need to do from not getting hit is basically what you need to do. You will get used to being faster with it. Like once your reaction time improves as you play a lot more, it'll be second nature for you to do these type of things. So again, I'm going to show a little clip where I fight some enemies using the dash, so I hope that gives you an idea of how well the dash can be used. Alright, with that being said, obviously you're going to combat either lightsaber heroes or blaster heroes when you're playing as Boba Fett. So what you want to do is have a rough idea of how to combat each one. Obviously with the lightsaber heroes, they can block, so one thing you really want to do, although it might scare you at times, is that you have to actually bait them to attack you. So whether they're blocking just in front of you here and they're not going to attack, you either wait for them to come closer and then they quickly do an attack, but you got to be ready to dodge that. So say Luke's right here and I'm waiting for him and then he does a swing, you got to dodge straight away, because sometimes you get caught in the stun lock when they keep spamming you. So you either bait them to attack you when they're smart and they block, or if they're running directly at you, just keep shooting them. So that's where the steady ready kill is going to come in. So even if they try and change direction, try and keep it steady. And don't panic either if they move so many different directions. Just watch them closely and then be ready to move out the way when necessary. Another little thing too, which this is technically a bonus clip, so I'll show the footage straight after this next set of footage, is I don't know why lightsaber heroes do this, but they always seem to jump in the air thinking I can't just look up and shoot them like this. So sometimes as they're trying to charge you, you'll shoot them a bit, they'll get down, they'll take damage, and they'll try and jump up thinking they can avoid me. But if you're steady enough and you don't panic, you will actually do more damage. And another thing too, which I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, is aim for the head as much as you can. Because people say Boba's blaster is weak, but when you get consecutive headshots, it really does some damage. So basically, yeah, with lightsaber heroes, just be mindful of like when they've used their abilities. If you know they've used a certain one, such as Luke's force push, you might be able to be a bit more aggressive when fighting him. Or if they're a big swinger, just be able to shoot in accordingly where they can't hit you. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm just going to go ahead and play some footage on the screen.
Burn it all. Chance.
Don't
Going to hiding.
something special so bad.
Switching to thermal. No more games.
And also, guys, you would have seen that bonus clip of where they jump up. It's stupid that they do that because they just forget that Boba can actually just look up and shoot. So that's another thing to really do. Now with the Blaster Hero, you definitely have, when you're versing the Blaster Hero, you basically have to outshoot them. So you're going to have to be a lot quicker than what you would with lightsabers. Because the best thing to do is to assume that any Blaster Hero can aim and get hits on you, no matter how far away you are. So what you want to do is to be able to understand how accurate they are when you're versing them and actually move around as much as you can while also doing damage. So what you need to do, heaps of dashes and fly very quickly to get some shots off. You can always do that, but just the idea is to be faster than them, outshoot them, be accurate and actually put them off guard. And that's where you can also sometimes use his concussion rocket as well, if that really helps you as well. Look, it's just basically being faster than them. I mean, Boba has a jetpack, so make use of it, and his dash. Just be faster than the lightsabers, I mean, not lightsaber, the Blaster Heroes. Just keep an eye out what abilities they can use, because the likes of Han, Lando, Chewie, and Finn, they can all damage you very easily, whether it's some aimbots, an explosive, or the stupid bowcaster. So just be mindful of that. You just gotta simply be quicker than them and outshoot them, basically. So whether you need to get used to doing that on the ground first, that's completely up to you. But as I said, just move as fast as you can and I think you'll be fine. So again, I'm gonna show some more footage of that where I actually outshoot them. So I hope you enjoy that. And in relation to combating the different heroes, guys, one thing you're really going to have to get used to is actually still doing damage while taking damage. Like, obviously, you're going to have to know your limits, and if you know you're literally about to die, don't just recklessly charge in. But if you're lower health, like say I'm on 300 health, and you know you have the capability to take out a quick kill on Han Solo, then go do that. But there are times where you are going to be shot at and still take damage, and you're going to have to learn to actually still aim well under pressure. So I've got several clips of this, probably like maybe I think 2 to 4 clips of this where I show this off, because that's going to be one of the most important things. Because you can aim, it's all well and good for you to be able to aim, but if you can't aim well while being damaged, then you're basically going to end up losing in most battles. So I'm going to showcase some clips off there for you guys, so hope you enjoy those finesse moves from your boy.
You know this is futile. Okay.
Okay guys, in relation to combating different lightsaber and blaster heroes, one thing you're going to have to obviously take into consideration is when they've actually used their hero abilities. So for example, Han's Get Night Charge, Luke's Force Push, Lando's Disabler and that type of thing. So obviously you'll get a feel of how the player plays that particular hero when you're versing them. So get an idea of when they're going to use it and try your best to dodge it. Because what you want to do is basically get them to use up their damaging abilities, which will make it easier for you to get the kill on them. Because there are a lot of Luke players, for example, who rely on their Force Push. So once they do that, and they've done their repulse as well, it's basically a lot easier to kill them, because they're going to have to come to you after that. There is going to be one of my footage clips here where Lando actually does a disable on me. But because he's shocked, because his smoke grenade is already put down, I actually dash into his smoke grenade, so it's harder for him to aim at me. So even if they get you with their ability, just be prepared to get back up straight away. I will link some games, like previous Boba matches that I played, in the description, so you guys can actually see where some of this footage comes from. So even if, as I was saying, even if they get you with the abilities, be prepared to move quickly and get back into position. No matter what happens, basically do not make yourself an easy target. That's basically one of the #1 rules for Boba Fett. So I'm going to show off some more clips for that and examples of how that would work for you guys. So hope you guys enjoy those as well.
Confuse and conquer.
Corners of the galaxy, new battle across the eras. May the best side prevail.
Okay guys, that's mostly the gameplay type of tips I wanted to cover. Obviously, before I finish up this guide, obviously I want to touch on the star cards that I use. And I haven't really changed much of the loadout, but now that the health card's here, that's basically a necessity. For all the regular Battlefront 2 players, as you guys will know, Boba is very fragile. Pardon me. So being able to get a kill and getting health back is really important, especially when you're the target and if you take damage early. That's another important aspect. So I always use that one, whether you're playing GA or Heroes vs Villains. I like to use Intense Barrage as well, because obviously the rockets fire faster and there's more rockets. And obviously that's one of his most important aspects to Boba Fett. So if you're someone who loves using the barrage and likes putting the enemy off guard, then definitely use this one. Now, the rest of these cards aren't all that great, unless you want to use anti-hero rockets, which most people do for Heroes vs Villains. That's completely up to you. Now, I also use the fuel efficiency, so basically jetpack fuel, it burns slow when I'm flying. Especially for someone like me who likes to fly a lot and get the edge on them, that's going to be important. Or if you're more of a stationary Boba, more often than flying, his jetpack refills faster when not being used. So this can also be very helpful. So if you like to fly and then quickly join right on the ground in the thick of the action, this might be another good card for you. Another good card, well, maybe not the best card ever, but sometimes people use Blaster Disabler. If you're someone who struggles to aim and you're a bit of a beginner player, this might be an okay card for you, because it gives you a second or two to get a few quick hits in, and which will put them off guard, because they'll be like, wait, what's wrong? I can't shoot my gun, you know? So anyway, it's all personal preference, but I recommend the 3 that I use, because obviously health is important, his barrages are OP when accurate, and his jetpack is just as important. So probably these 4 that I'm hovering over are probably the most recommended cards to use. Birds, please stop doing that. Okay, one more quick bonus tip that I haven't mentioned yet is try and get used to actually taking out a hero really quickly, whether that is actually Han Solo, Lando, or anyone, or even Luke when they're not looking at you, because that'll really put them off guard. Because if you're able to get all your barrage hits and then get a couple of headshots and finish them off, that's going to really annoy the other team, and it makes you dangerous and unpredictable. And that's basically what you want with Boba Fett, is to basically be dangerous, unpredictable, almost undamageable if you're quick enough and very accurate. That's what you want to do with Boba. You want to annoy them as much as possible by doing a lot of damage, but also avoiding it. But with that said, guys, that's pretty much covers the guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I didn't talk too much, because I wanted you guys first to see footage firsthand of how these tips can be applied. So just a quick recap, I'll just go over the tips that I've mentioned during this video. Is basically, don't spend any time match flying or running. Tactical retreats are acceptable in this case. Make sure you learn how to shoot when on the ground and when flying in different directions, and then being able to combine those two in game. Managing your aiming reticule and your sensitivity. Managing your rocket barrage and being accurate with it. Managing Boba Fett's jetpack fuel and utilizing his dash. And obviously I touched on some tips on how to combat different heroes. Being able to obviously utilize all these different skills when under pressure and taking damage. Then I'll show you some examples of being affected by abilities in game, and I mentioned the recommended star cards just before. So that's basically all the tips in a nutshell. If you need to watch the video again for specific points or footage, feel free to do so. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Apologies if I was a bit rusty with the commentary. I will try and do more of these when I catch up with all my videos, because I still have a few to put out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. See you later.
Animal.
May the Force be with you, always.
The Sith are all powerful.